Hey, this is Greg back with the Greg Said channel, and it's the early morning post Colorado upset, what most people call an upset. And I just wanted to give a shout out to those Colorado Busters coming through. I mean, I knew exactly what they were gonna do. I know the parameters and all the points, the talking points people had on television and all the predictions and spreads and all the good talk, but that wasn't football talk. I've been following this team from day one when we knew that Coach Prime was going over there. Watch what he built and knowing what he built at Jackson and just knowing football and knowing coaching and just being amazed like, wow, these people, they clearly didn't care or they just don't know anything about football to make the analysis. They're talking about 90% of the time about what TCU did last year. Clearly, it's not the same team. Clearly, it's not the same quarterback. They don't even have the same coordinator from last year. And they just kept talking about last year, Colorado last year. At the same time, talking about how many people left Colorado. And it was history. And it's like the TV talking points were horrible. I really see that these football analysts don't know football. And the people who do know football have to play the game. And I think what makes Coach Prime dangerous is he's busting up the game because he's actually a football player and coach. He knows the game, and none of that stuff applies to him. And that's what we saw yesterday. But this video here is about something that's really been on my heart since Coach Prime left with the HBCUs. I went to HBCU for a couple of years, and I also went to PW. I've been born and raised in Metro Atlanta. Born and raised in the urban city. Born and raised in the quote-unquote hood from elementary all the way through. I actually wanted to go to PWI so I can get experience. That's my mindset. I'm not for the division and hate on no level. Unfortunately, I experienced more division and hate because that's who I was around, my people. My people are what we call my people. My people is the people who, or any person, is the people who believe what they believe and support them. I don't really do the whole, not people because of skin color, but I can relate to. And that's who I've been around. But I want the best for everybody. And I do want the best for the people I grew up with. And that's because we can relate to our upbringing. I think it goes a little far. But even with that stance, people use the color thing, which is, I think, is very minute and it's kind of low level, really, when you look at the quality and character of a person, because I want who's going to support me. And when you don't support a man because he no longer believes what you believe or you can't control him and all that stuff you say you support and represent go out the window, that's messed up. When Coach Prime left, I was surprised as everybody else. I mean, he did talk the talk about he's going to bring like the HBCUs, and he did. He did. For that window of time, he did a lot in that short period of time. And to think that he would never leave, that was nonsense. When he left, it was a surprise because he was like acting like he wasn't going to leave. And, he said he wasn't, but he did. And he did it in that time when that's the window coaches leave. Right at the end of the season, he had to make that move. That's the time period. And it was unfortunate right before the Celebration Bowl, and I watched a lot of the fans turn on him, who was already really wanted to turn on him. I seen his own fans who slick wanted him to lose, and they was with him because they didn't want him to have the success he had, because they didn't want him to receive credit, because they didn't want him to receive credit, because they basically thought he was an outsider. He came from Florida State. Like you said, he did graduate with an HBCU degree. Everything that he did, it was excuse. Well, what about this? What about that? So to me, those people should have been happy he left. And some of them were. And you should just let him go. But you didn't. But I can say a lot about that. But I think the biggest thing that we seen after yesterday's game, JSU did good last week and they won. And then they got to go against Spam this week. But I was glad JSU got that chip off their shoulder or whatever, that monkey off their back from beating that MEAC team, that this really been bullying them and acting like that was such a better conference when it's not. They had an advantage in the Celebration Bowl every year with the break. And they win, and they destroy them. And I said, the only thing left is Coach Prime to have a good start. And a lot of them want him to have a good start. They want him to lose. What's up with that? You mean the jealousy, the hate? Oh, this is the lack of forgiveness. Why wouldn't he want him to see? And this is why. What happened yesterday is into your favors, to your benefit. Shedeur Sanders playing like he played. Travis Hunter playing like he played. Even Savion Washington. Not Savion Washington. Savion Wilkerson. They have a Washington big tackle. Savion Wilkerson. A two-time a SWAC and HBCU player. He played at Delaware State, then he came to Jackson State. He balled at both, and he balled pretty much yesterday. I mean, he had a touchdown. He had some dominant runs. These boys came from the SWAC last year. SWAC and HBCU football was put on notice. Put them on notice. Let's put on the map again. And that was my thought from the beginning. I would think people would have been like, I hope they do well at the next level, because that proves that we have quality athletes. Not that they left us, know why they leave and left us to be black, but the whole thing was that your league, your conference doesn't have good football. The HBCU doesn't have good football. They call you a high school-like conference. They said that you can't compete. And if he did it there, he did it, and he did it better. The man threw over 500 yards for a touchdown. He didn't even do over 500 yards in the SWAC. And he said he admitted it. Travis Hunter dominated that just like he did at the SWAC. It says a lot about them, but it also can be said that, hey, good players can come out the SWAC. So that means that some of the coaches now, a lot of those coaches came from HBCUs, or they coached with him at HBCU. Most of his staff came with him from Jackson State, and they just accomplished the unthinkable. And it's only the beginning. They're going to do even better. So you really have to really look at things from a mature standpoint. What they accomplished, what they will continue to accomplish, will only, it's not about blackness. It's about they underestimated and disrespected you. And these players just basically gave us a shout out, a big up to the conference they came from, because they said, hey, the conference, it's not that much different. They always said it was about the trenches, right? The size. The skill players are the same. And they just really proved the skill players are the same. You should be happy that these boys are being successful. You shouldn't wish for their failure. You shouldn't wish that they not succeed because they left you. What are we doing? Coach Prime coaching well at Jackson and having the challenges and it should be looked at as a good thing, not wait, he couldn't do it here, so he can't do it there. Well, even if he did it there, well, it's not about who better. It's about the quality is proven that it can be at that conference, at that level. And it should open doors for other coaches. It should open doors for other players. It should open doors for the NFL to say, well, maybe we should go look at some of these other players who played against Travis Hunter, or who could be the next Travis Hunter next year. Not saying that that's the case, really. I mean, we know what type of players they were when they went there, and that's a whole nother issue, but a whole nother conversation. But we also know that it could be other players who did similar, who could have went Power 5, but they chose to go to HBCU. There's other players that did it. Some of them, a lot of them, left when Coach Prime left. We got some other players who went to Louisville. One of them was on TCU team. One of the linemen. So we really got to look at the fact that what Colorado did just really changed the game, even for HBCUs. They just did HBCUs, SWAC, MEAC, and even some of the smaller conferences a big favor. They just made people put some respect on your name. There's no other way for that to happen other than just them having success. They'll represent you all. They represent more than the skin color. They'll represent you, the underlooked, the underestimated, overlooked. And I knew that was going to happen. And I saw it clearly. But I wasn't blinded by hate and jealousy. And, not forgiveness, not really seeing the big picture or not trying to see the big picture. I knew this was going to be to the benefit of Jackson State and all the competition that they played in the SWAC and the MEAC. You all need to take a second look at this thing. Open your eyes. Coach Prime, Shadur, Travis, Savion, Willie Gaines, Jeremiah Brown, their success this year is going to be for y'all.